Whispers of War. Once upon a time, in the resplendent valley of Nyangara, life pulsed gently like the rhythms of the nearby river. Flowering trees painted splashes of color across fields of crops, and laughter echoed through the air as children chased butterflies. But amidst this peaceful existence, whispers began to spread like wildfire among the villagers. Rumors of an approaching army from the rival tribe of Kara. Nyasha stood at the edge of the village, her heart heavy with worry. With her long, intricately braided hair swaying in the breeze, she watched the vibrant tapestry of her people, their smiles masking growing fears. She was not only a guardian of her family but a champion of the spirit of her community. As the daughter of a storyteller, she understood the weight of words and their ability to shape destinies. Gathering her friends and neighbors in the shade of the great baobab tree, Nyasha took a deep breath, summoning the courage she hoped to inspire in her people. "My beloved family," she began, addressing the expectant faces before her. "The winds carry tales of dread, but we are not a people who yield to fear. Together, we have faced challenges before. We must remain united." Kofi, a wise elder who had earned the respect of the village through years of leadership, nodded in agreement. His scarred face told stories of battles from a distant past, yet his eyes sparkled with the wisdom that could only be gained through experience. "Nyasha speaks truthfully," he affirmed. "We must prepare for what may come. But remember, strength lies not just in weapons, but in our hearts and our resolve." Amara, Nyasha's sprightly 12-year-old niece, was perched on a low branch of the baobab, the sun catching the cascade of her curly hair. Her bright eyes mirrored excitement and fear, a tempest of emotions. "Aunt Nyasha, what if we could make peace instead? We could tell stories to them, just like you do," she chirped, her voice overflowing with youthful enthusiasm. "What if we showed them the beauty of Nyangara instead of waiting for them to attack?" A flicker of hope ignited in Nyasha's heart as she looked at Amara. The girl's unwavering belief in the power of words mirrored her own. "Yes, Amara, perhaps that is the wisdom we must pursue. If our stories can reach their hearts, we may inspire understanding rather than conflict." That evening, the villagers gathered for a meeting, their faces illuminated by flickering torches. As the flames danced, Nyasha proposed her vision. "Let us gather our stories and tales. We will create a narrative that radiates the spirit of Nyangara. An invitation for the Kara tribe to share in our joy, not the suffering of battle." While some villagers nodded with intrigue, others frowned, uncertainty evident in their furrowed brows. "What if they do not listen?" one elder questioned. "What if they come to conquer us?" Nyasha raised her hands gently in reassurance. "We cannot predict the future, but we can choose our response. If we embody unity and kindness, we might reach their hearts. We will not provoke violence but rather offer hope." As days passed, life in Nyangara transformed into a canvas of colors and sounds. Villagers wove together songs, dances, and talented stories, crafting an array of emotions that told the tale of their lives. Bonds of family, the sweetness of friendship, and the lessons of the elders who walked before them. It was both a celebration and preparation. Yet, in the shadows of the mountains that watched over the valley, the drums of war were beating, echoing the indomitable spirit of a rival tribe. The elders of Kara tribe were powerful, and their ambitions were fueled by memories long past. Nyasha could not ignore the distant rumblings, but she pressed on, her heart as strong as the baobab that stood in their midst. On the day she had chosen to present their invitation, Nyasha looked into the faces of her people. Fear mingled with hope. "Trust in our voices, in the stories we share. We embody the spirit of peace," she whispered, her heart racing as they prepared to face the unknown. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden light across the valley, Nyasha resolved to weave the most powerful tale of all, the legacy of a village that chose love over conflict, even in the face of an army poised to challenge their very existence. With determination etched in her heart, she gathered her courage and prepared to confront whatever the next dawn might bring. Nyangara was ready to tell its story, a story that would either change hearts or leave its mark in the annals of history. The beginning of their journey towards peace was at hand, whispered in the rustling leaves and dancing flames, echoing a promise of hope in a world shadowed by fear. The heart of a warrior. The sun hung high over Nyangara, casting a golden hue on the valley and dancing light across the villagers' woven baskets and vibrant fabrics. Uncertainty lingered in the air, stirring the resolve of its inhabitants. In the center of this spirited community, Kofi stood with a furrowed brow, contemplating the whispers of war that echoed in the depths of his memory. The energy of today's preparations was both invigorating and alarming, reminding him of the battles he had fought many years ago. As he walked towards the heart of the village, Kofi noticed Nyasha and Amara busily painting symbols of their village on large pieces of cloth, their faces alight with creativity and passion. He paused, taking in the sight, a reminder of what they were fighting for. He approached them, a somberness settling over him as he thought of the confrontation that lay ahead. "Nyasha," he said, his voice steady but gentle, "I wonder if we might pause and reflect on the path we are taking." Nyasha brushed strands of hair away from her face, her brow creased in thought. "Kofi, I understand your worries, but we have chosen to meet the challenge with hope and creativity. Our stories can build bridges." Kofi appreciated her resolve but felt the weight of experience on his shoulders. "It is indeed noble to seek peace, but we must not forget the realities of war. Stories are a powerful shield, yet they do not always ward off swords. I have seen too many hearts hardened by the clash of steel." Amara chimed in, her enthusiasm unquenched. "But Uncle Kofi, don't you think that bringing our culture to them will show them who we really are? They don't have to be our enemies if they understand us." Her eyes sparkled with youthful conviction, and for a moment, Kofi felt the warmth of her hope seep into his weary heart. "Yes, my dear, but knowledge can be a double-edged sword," Kofi replied, kneeling down to meet her gaze. "I fought battles where words fell on deaf ears, where warriors spoke only with their swords. It takes a strong heart to listen when fear clouds judgment. But aren't you proof that a warrior can also choose peace?" Nyasha countered gently, her heart resonating with Kofi's words, yet she felt an urge to challenge him. "You chose to lay down your weapons, to turn from battle. I seek to do the same, but with wisdom and creativity." Kofi nodded slowly, watching the determination in Nyasha's eyes. She had always been the beacon of hope in their family, a flame that refused to flicker out. "Perhaps I have a lesson to share," he said after a moment, recalling an ancient story from his youth. "Gather around, both of you. Let me tell you about the time I faced the mightiest of enemies." As they sat beneath the expansive branches of the baobab tree, Kofi recounted the tale of his encounter with the war chief of the northern tribe, a man known for his ruthlessness. Kofi had approached him not with weapons drawn, but with an offering of peace, extending a hand that turned potential violence into an alliance. He recalled how they had shared stories under the starry sky, realizing their similarities and forging a bond instead of a feud. "Never forget," Kofi concluded, "the strongest warriors are those who wield their words, not just their weapons. A true heart of a warrior desires understanding even in the face of conflict." Nyasha sat quietly, absorbing his tales. "But what if they only want to fight, Kofi? What if the war chief of Kara sees us as weak for seeking a different path?" Kofi looked thoughtfully at the horizon, where dark clouds loomed, mirroring the uncertainty in their hearts. "You will never know unless you try. Your heart is a weapon, but so is patience and wisdom. Battle is not only fought on the fields. It begins in the heart." Inspired by Kofi's story, Nyasha allowed herself to dream of another reality. All of them gathered not in anger but in unity. She could almost see the Karens participating in their celebrations, their laughter merging with that of her people. As the day wore on, she found herself speaking with renewed vigor about the stories they might share. "If we start our songs with values that resonate across tribes, family, strength, and respect for the land, we might reveal the respect that ties us together." Kofi smiled, pride swelling in his chest. His heart was both heavy and light. The past haunted him, yet the future held the promise of something extraordinary. "Yes, my child. Your voice may be the very thing that unites us." Later that evening, as darkness gathered and torches flickered in the breeze, Kofi could feel the palpable energy of the village weaving together with the power of thought-provoking stories. Nyasha's bravery shone brightly, a beacon for everyone, guiding them beyond the narrow confines of fear. That night, while the stars twinkled like ancient guardians above, Kofi found solace in the laughter of children, in the resolve of warriors transformed by the sounds of creativity. The heart of a warrior, he realized, could be both gentle and fierce. He stepped forward to embrace the path Nyasha had chosen. They were not merely preparing for battle, but igniting a movement fueled by understanding and connection. A true testament to resilience, one that would inspire not just Nyangara but the world beyond. If you're enjoying the story so far, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us continue bringing more content your way. Thank you so much for your support, and let's get back to the story. A Girl's Dream. Beneath the sprawling branches of the great baobab tree, the laughter of children rang out like sweet music, filling the air of Nyangara with a sense of innocence and joy. Among them was Amara, Nyasha's 12-year-old niece, whose imagination knew no bounds. She was a spirited girl, full of energy and curiosity, with an aura that drew the attention of those around her. As the sun began to dip in the sky, casting an orange glow across the valley, Amara gathered her friends, beckoning them to sit in a circle around her. "Let's play a game," she exclaimed, clapping her hands with excitement. "I will tell a story, and you must create your own characters to go with it." Her friends eagerly nodded, typical of their enthusiasm for anything Amara crafted. She had a gift for storytelling that sparked their imaginations, and they knew that each tale she spun could transport them to new worlds. Today, however, Amara felt an adventurous idea bubbling inside her. "Once upon a time," she began, her voice theatrical, "there was a brave heroine named Nyasha, who had the heart of a lion and the wisdom of 1,000 stars. One day, a great danger loomed over her village, threatening to take everything she held dear." Her friends' eyes sparkled with wonder as they listened intently to Amara's words. She could see it written in their faces, the same hope and courage that flickered in her heart. With every detail she wove, she painted a vivid picture of bravery, stirring their emotions with soft touches of danger and hope. As she spoke, Amara took on the role of Nyasha, striding boldly across the imaginary battlefield, wielding a mighty staff that transformed with every wave into a shield of light, protecting her village from unseen threats. Nyasha stood tall, unafraid. As she faced the enemy army, she declared, her voice rising with imagined fervor. But instead of striking them down, she decided to share tales of her lands, to show them beauty instead of fear. Her friends breathed in synchrony, utterly captivated. "What did she say?" one friend eagerly asked, already lost in Amara's narrative. She told them of the beautiful flowers that swayed in the wind, of the laughter that filled the air during their festivals, and of the bonds they held as family. Amara continued, her enthusiasm bursting like fireworks in the night sky. And with every story, she softened their hearts until the armies melded together as one. As she spoke, Amara's thoughts drifted toward the real world outside her dreamscape. She imagined Nyasha stepping forward to speak, shielded not by weapons but the very fabric of their shared history. It stirred something inside her, a yearning for a world where differences could be bridged not through war, but through shared dreams and stories. Amara envisioned herself in Nyasha's place, standing bravely before them, sharing stories that could unite tribes like rivers flowing into the same ocean. The dream felt so real that she paused, letting the warmth of its potential envelop her. But then a shadow crept into her heart, tinged with the fear of what might happen if they could not succeed. "And what if the enemy doesn't listen?" one of her friends whispered, doubt creeping into the heavy air. "What if they just want to fight?" Amara shook her head defiantly. "Then we must be even more persistent. We must show them we are strong in our love and that we believe in a better world." A silence enveloped the group, the weight of uncertainty heavy on their young shoulders. Yet, in Amara's heart, a flicker of resolution glowed. She could not let fear keep her from her dreams. "I will write our stories," she proclaimed, her voice resolute. "We'll gather all our tales of bravery and love and present them to Nyasha. We can help her show everyone how we can live together." Encouraged by her words, her friends resumed their imaginative journey with renewed vigor, fueling the story of the brave heroine as a tangible force capable of transcending their harsh reality. They crafted fantastical creatures and eagerly outlined enchanted places, interlacing their own dreams with the bold narratives of warriors, healers, and friends. As twilight fell, the stars began to twinkle overhead, and the children's laughter faded into gentle giggles as they rolled in the grass. Amara's heart fluttered with anticipation, igniting a fire within her soul. She dreamed not only of her aunt's bravery but of her own role in their collective journey. That night, as Amara lay beneath her warm blanket, she envisioned the future. A tapestry woven from the dreams shared between her and her friends, the refuge of stories alive in their hearts. She could see Nyasha standing fierce and proud, leading their village side by side with the warriors of Kara, laughter and hope mingling beneath the stars. A weighty sense of purpose wrapped around her like a balm, and as she drifted off to sleep, Amara resolved to create not just a story, but a movement. A world where courage and love overshadowed fear, where dreams of unity took flight above the voice of conflict. In her dreams, she would be that hero, and the tales they would tell would echo throughout the ages, weaving their lives into an unbreakable bond, an everlasting legacy of love and hope born from the heart of a girl who dared to dream. The brave confrontation. The sun broke through the horizon, casting a warm light over the valley of Nyangara as the day of confrontation dawned. A sense of anticipation hung in the air, thickening like the morning mist that clung to the fields. Nyasha stood at the edge of the village, her heart beating with both fear and resolve. Today was the day she would attempt to confront the army of the Kara tribe and present the stories of her people, not as an enemy, but as a bridge toward understanding. As she prepared, Kofi approached her, the weight of experience etched across his face. "Do not let fear consume you, my child," he said gently, placing a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "You carry the spirit of your ancestors. Speak from the heart, and let your words flow like the river." "Thank you, Kofi," she acknowledged, drawing strength from his unwavering support. "I hope they will listen. I hope to show them that we are more alike than different. But what if they laugh at my stories?" "They may not understand at first," he replied thoughtfully. "But often, it's in the act of sharing that we open the doors to the heart. Trust in your voice, and let them feel the essence of Nyangara." With those words echoing in her mind, Nyasha gathered her courage and walked toward the mountain ridge, where the Kara tribe had set camp. The path was rugged, lined with stones and strewn with scattered roots, yet Nyasha strode forward, the strength of her village behind her. As she climbed higher, the camp came into view, a stark contrast to the flourishing life of her own village. Tents of dark fabric were pitched haphazardly, warriors milling about with hardened expressions. She could hear the low rumble of voices, a swell of anger and pride reverberating through the air. It felt like a living beast, ready to pounce. Taking a deep breath, Nyasha descended into the clearing, where she was met with curious gazes from the warriors, their faces etched with skepticism and disdain. Standing tall, despite the tremor in her heart, she called out to the chief, Jabari, whose imposing figure was adorned in tribal markings. "Jabari," she proclaimed, her voice carrying over the stillness. He turned to face her, a mixture of surprise and amusement passing across his features. "I am Nyasha of Nyangara. I come not to wage war, but to share the stories of my people." A low murmur spread through the array of soldiers, their expressions revealing varying degrees of skepticism. "And why should we listen to a mere storyteller?" Jabari challenged, stepping closer, his posture radiating authority. "Our people crave conquest, not tales." Nyasha's heart raced as the chief's fierce gaze bore down on her, but she steadied herself, channeling the resolve that had brought her here. "It is in tales that we find our truth, great chief. They connect us. In my village, we believe that shared stories can heal divisions. We are not so different, you and I. We both cherish family, life, and the land." An uneasy silence engulfed the group as Nyasha took a step forward, courage igniting her spirit. "Let me show you what I mean," she continued, raising her voice to command attention. "I will share the story of our beginnings. A tale where hope flows like the rivers that nourish both our tribes." Jabari remained skeptical, but the murmuring warriors gradually quieted. He motioned for Nyasha to proceed, curiosity flaring in his eyes. As she began, her voice resonated with emotion and strength. "Long ago, before our tribes existed, there was a mighty tree that stood between the valleys. It was a meeting place for all people, where they shared laughter and stories. Fights erupted, but in those moments, it was their stories that healed old wounds, that brought peace." Nyasha wove the tale of the mighty tree and its benevolent spirit, painting a picture of two tribes whose ancestors once lived in harmony, trading not just goods but laughter and life lessons. As she spoke, she gestured toward the hills that cradled their villages, encouraging the warriors to envision a time when they were united. Jabari listened intently, drawn into her narrative, and Nyasha could see glimmers of intrigue flickering in his eyes. Humbling herself further, she spoke of shared values, family, respect for nature, and a desire for unity. Her words flowed like a soothing balm over the agitated spirits of the warriors, and she could almost feel the atmosphere shift as they began to see the familiar threads of their own stories woven into her tale. "Is it not time to return to that spirit?" she implored. "Imagine a tomorrow where our children laugh and play together, where your warriors and my people dance under the stars as one." A heavy silence hung in the air after her story concluded, the weight of the moment pressing down upon them. Jabari regarded her with a mix of surprise and contemplation, his mind racing to comprehend her bold approach. "Cunning," he finally said, breaking the stillness. The slow smile that spread across his face unsettled Nyasha slightly, and she braced herself for judgment. "It is a cunning tactic to unite us through stories. But do you truly believe your tales can defeat my army?" "Not defeat, but transform," Nyasha replied without hesitation. "If you truly wield the power of leadership, then show your people that strength lies in building bridges, not breaking them." Jabari's dark eyes narrowed as he weighed her words. Nyasha could sense the internal battle unfolding within him, his warrior pride pushing against the budding curiosity sparked by her tales. The murmurs around them grew louder, as more warriors began to question the ways of conflict versus the hope of unity. As the sun began to set, casting a warm golden hue over the camp, there was a palpable shift among the warriors. Jabari, noticing the change in sentiment, finally spoke again. "Perhaps we can listen a little longer, Nyasha. Show us your perspective, and let us see if your stories can indeed unite." Nyasha's heart swelled with gratitude. The path ahead was still uncertain, but she had taken the first step toward bridging the divide. She would fight, not with blades, but with the power of her voice, the greatest weapon she possessed. The seeds of an alliance were sown that day, and as the stars began to twinkle overhead, she felt the trembling pulse of hope weaving through the valley of Nyangara and beyond. Unlikely allies. The sun hung low in the sky, casting long shadows across the camp of the Kara tribe as Nyasha and Jabari sat beneath a makeshift awning. The tension that once suffocated the air had transformed into a curious energy, and the murmurs of the warriors transported the atmosphere from one of confrontation to one laced with possibility. The stories Nyasha had shared lingered on their minds, creating flickers of connection even in the most hardened of hearts. Jabari leaned back, his expression contemplative. "You have piqued the interest of my warriors with the tales of your land, Nyasha," he said, folding his arms. "But while your stories are beautiful, I wonder if they can truly affect change among a tribe used to power rather than persuasion." Nyasha sensed the challenge in his words. "Jabari, each of our tribes has a role to play. Strength does not always manifest through might. It can derive from understanding and collaboration. And it starts with us." She took a breath, willing herself to gauge his vulnerability. "You face a choice, to continue the cycle of conflict or to forge a new pathway to peace." Jabari's brow furrowed as he mulled over her suggestions. Just then, a voice broke into their conversation. It belonged to Tandy, a warrior known for her fierce loyalty and sharp wit. Her dark hair, braided with feathers, framed her face as she approached, arms crossed defiantly. "So you believe that South Valley tales can overshadow a proud warrior's legacy?" Her tone bore skepticism, but Nyasha could also sense an openness woven through it. "More than that," Nyasha replied, unfazed. "They are bridges to understanding while we drown in our differences. What if, just what if, our alliance could strengthen us both?" Tandy exchanged a brief glance with Jabari, who shrugged slightly. "She has a point, Tandy. What do we truly stand to gain from endless fighting?" he said, a hint of curiosity softening his voice. Jabari's admission caught Nyasha by surprise. She seized the moment, knowing it was crucial. A united force could foster prosperity for both our tribes. "We learn from each other, share each other's strengths. Imagine what we could achieve." Her words flowed with an urgency that resonated. "We could create a legacy entwined with friendship instead of bloodshed." The atmosphere shifted. Tandy crossed her arms thoughtfully. "What about the pride we carry as warriors?" she challenged. "Could we really live in harmony after centuries of rivalry?" Nyasha nodded earnestly. "True strength requires vulnerability. It's about laying down our pride for a greater cause. Think of our children. What future do we want for them?" She leaned in, her voice low and sincere. "The lifeblood of our people lies in unity." For a moment, the three of them stood in silence, caught in a web of contemplation. Then Tandy broke the stillness, her expression softening. You may be right. However, it's not an easy path. There will be those among us who cling fiercely to our old ways. What will you do to convince them? Nyasha exchanged glances with Jabari, sensing the spark of possibility in proximity. I suggest we share our worlds with each other. Let us hold a gathering where our villages can meet. Celebrate our cultures, join hands in song, and share our stories. When they see who we are, common threads will awaken between us. Tandy nodded slowly. I like that idea. Perhaps a celebration can inspire change in perspectives. But it will take time, and it will take faith, especially from our elders. Then let's begin by seeking their blessing. Jabari stood, his voice resolute. The elders hold wisdom, and they must feel the authenticity of our intentions. As the day progressed, the three of them set off to gather their tribes, now with a shared goal. The prospect of collaboration ignited a fire in Nyasha's heart, the beginnings of an alliance forged from unlikely allies. Together, they walked through the camp, where the soldiers eyed them curiously. There was apprehension, but a new energy pulsed beneath the surface. As they approached their leading elders, the sun began its descent, the horizon blushing with hues of orange and pink. The elders sat encircled within the heart of the camp, their faces lined with age and wisdom, a testament to the history each had witnessed. Jabari approached first, confidence and caution intermingled. Elders, he addressed them, his voice steady. Today we propose a union, a shared celebration of our stories to forge a future together. He gestured to Nyasha. With the spirit of Nyangara, we can open the doors to understanding. A ripple of surprise coursed through the elder group. They whispered among themselves, the tension palpable, as countless eyes fell on Nyasha. She felt the weight of expectation and fear lacing through her veins, yet determination anchored her. It is not weakness to come together. Nyasha stepped forward, raising her voice to meet their gaze. Vulnerability is the essence of courage. If we remain divided, we will only ensure the cycle of suffering continues. Let us cultivate a legacy steeped in unity. Her words echoed in the early night air, silencing the murmurs. The elders exchanged thoughtful glances, weighing her passionate plea against the bitterness of their history. Finally, one elder, with a wise and weathered face, spoke. The journey toward unity unfolds in the hearts of courageous souls. If you wish to extend your hands toward our future, we shall consider your offer. A collective sigh of relief escaped Nyasha. The seeds of change were taking root, one hesitant step at a time. Jabari, Tandy, and Nyasha shared a triumphant look. There was still much work ahead, weaving together two disparate threads into a powerful tapestry. As the stars began to twinkle overhead, revealing an expansive sky, there sat two tribes, their fates intertwined, slowly becoming what they dared to imagine. Allies bound by shared stories, dreams, and an unwavering hope for a future free of war. A new dawn. As dawn broke over the valley of Nyangara, the first rays of sunlight spilled forth like liquid gold, bathing the land in warmth and light. The anticipation in the air was palpable, weaving threads of hope and excitement among the villagers who had gathered to witness the historic celebration. A vibrant tapestry of colors adorned the clearing beneath the great baobab tree, transforming the ground into a canvas of cultural richness. Nyasha stood at the forefront, her heart racing with a mix of joy and trepidation. She had never imagined a day like this could dawn, a day when her village and the Kara tribe would set aside their differences, united by the stories they now shared. Today, they would prove that hope could rise from ashes, that bridges could be built where walls once stood. The atmosphere crackled with energy as jubilant voices filled the air. Creators from each tribe brought their crafts, a showcase of art, music, and jubilance. Nyasha traveled among stalls filled with intricate beadwork and woven textiles, reveling in the authentic expressions of culture. Children dashed about, laughter spilling over like fountains, a sweet tune among the mix of drums and songs. Amara dashed to her aunt's side, her face flushed with excitement. Aunt Nyasha, look at all the decorations. It's incredible. Do you think they like our stories? Her eyes sparkled like the twinkling stars that had watched over their gathering the previous night. More than just stories, Amara. They now hold pieces of our souls, Nyasha replied, kneeling down to meet her niece's gaze. These stories weave us together in ways we never thought possible. With the sun climbing higher, Nyasha stepped onto the stage crafted from natural materials, her heart pounding in her chest. Jabari stood beside her, his presence a reminder that they now shared a mutual purpose. He nodded at her, a reassuring gesture that said, "We are in this together." Nyasha cleared her throat. The murmurs quieted, and all eyes focused on her. "Welcome, family," she began, her voice steady. "Today, we stand together, not as divided tribes but as one community, united by laughter, joy, and hope. We have journeyed far to reach this moment, and it's in our stories that we will find strength." Cheering erupted from the crowd, and Nyasha gestured for them to continue. Setting the tone for the day, she invited both villages to share their talents. A flurry of performances showcased skilled dancers igniting the ground with their graceful movements, songs intertwining in a vibrant tapestry of sound that resonated with familiar rhythms. As the sun rose higher, it illuminated Jabari as he stepped forward, his stature imposing yet softened by the warmth in his heart. "Today we honor our past, but we also forge a new pathway," he proclaimed, his voice rich and resonant. "We shall celebrate who we are and where we come from. Together, we create a future steeped in unity." A chorus of applause erupted, lifting the air with joyous sounds. Tandy joined him on stage, unrestrained enthusiasm shining through. "Let's embrace our traditions throughout this celebration," she called out, inviting performers from each tribe to intertwine their dances, joining hands across the divide that had once separated them. As the tribes twirled together, laughter mingling among the music, the baobab tree stood witness to the birth of a new legacy. Nyasha felt her heart swell as she watched the children from both tribes play together, their laughter ringing like delicate chimes, echoing violently through the remnants of their past. The sense of community surged, washing over the crowd as the barriers continued to dissolve. Amara pulled at Nyasha's sleeve, her eyes eager and sparkling. "Can I share my story, Aunt?" she requested, voice full of excitement, bravery swelling within her tiny frame. "Of course, my dear," Nyasha replied, pride blossoming in her chest as she waved Amara onto the stage. Amara stepped forward, clearing her throat as she stood before the gathered families, both familiar and foreign. "Once upon a time," she began, her voice steady and bright, "there was a brave girl, the bravest of them all, who believed in the power of stories. She believed that when people shared their tales, they could open their hearts to each other." As she recounted her tale of bravery and self-discovery, the audience hung onto her every word. Young and old alike smiled at the innocent wisdom spilling forth, marveling at how easily her words flowed, bridging any remaining gaps between them. Amara ended her story with a flourish, the crowd erupting into applause, their faces radiant with delight. Cheers and laughter filled the air as many began to share their own stories and songs, and Nyasha reveled in the richness of it all, a tapestry woven from their love and shared experiences. Each performance rang through the valley, emphasizing that their union was not merely a moment but a promise that they would carry forward. The sun began to set, painting the sky in hues of purple and orange as the festivities continued, and laughter echoed through the evening air. Families converged, exchanging meals and stories, laughter woven into the fabric of this unprecedented unity. Nyasha and Jabari stood together, watching the celebrations unfold, their hearts swelling with joy and hope. "You dared to dream, Nyasha," he said, turning to her with a new gleam in his eye. "You ignited a fire in both our tribes that will burn brightly." "All thanks to the stories we dared to share," she replied, feeling a warmth that radiated from the gathered crowd. "This is just the beginning, Jabari. Together, we will honor our past while embracing the future. A future steeped in love, understanding, and unity." As the first stars began to twinkle overhead, Nyasha felt a newfound strength course through her veins. This gathering, this celebration, was the dawn of a new era. A dawn that would shine light on the path before them, illuminating a tapestry of shared stories connecting the hearts of Nyangara and Kara forever. With the weight of history lifting and love burgeoning, they were ready to step boldly into that future. From that day forward, their lives would resonate with the magic of stories. Their beliefs entwined, their spirits lifted, a legacy of unity that would echo through the ages. Together, they would create a world filled with hope, a tapestry woven from dreams shared under the vast canopy of the starry sky. Did you enjoy this video? If so, give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell to join us for more amazing stories every day. Here at Daily Anything History, there's always something new to discover. See you in the next video.